History is full of small moments that turned into lasting consequences. In these 8 stories, a prison, an alley, a lamp, and a war room all reveal how much the textbooks leave out. In prison, Ahmad Sobarjo was said to hear a voice while urinating. That strange moment was later linked to a surname. Sobarjo was an Indonesian figure whose personal name appears in the story. The setting is confinement, where small details could become memorable. The claim says the surname came to him in that private moment. A voice, heard in prison, turned into a personal name change. After that, the odd detail became part of how people knew him. The name moved from a prison story into public use. So the story leaves us with a voice, a prison wall, and a surname. One private moment stayed attached to his name. In 1930s Munich, a narrow alley got a nickname for helping people avoid a salute. That is a strange thing to hear about a street. The alley sat near a Nazi memorial in the city. In that setting, the public gesture was expected in the open street. People used the side street to pass by without making the Hitler salute. The nickname Shirker's Alley fit that small act of evasion. That choice changed the alley from a shortcut into a quiet signal. A place to walk became a place to step aside. So the nickname stayed with a small street and a larger pressure. In Munich, the alley became the image of a decision made at a corner. A Bronze Age record already mentions wethers. That means castrated male sheep or goats were being noted in writing long before most people expect. The record comes from Minoan civilization, deep in the Bronze Age. It sits in a world of palaces, herds, and written lists on clay. The key word is wether. It names a male sheep or goat that has been castrated, a herd choice, not a mystery term. So the odd detail is not a legend or a proverb. It is a practical livestock note, showing organized herd management in an early written record. That pushes the word wether into the Bronze Age itself. A simple farm term survives beside sheep, goats, and clay records. Fluminense FM once sent horse races over the air. Then that same station name turned up beside Brazilian rock. Radio stations were built to serve listeners in a specific moment. In the 1980s, Fluminense FM met a new audience and a new sound. The key change was format. A station that had carried horse race broadcasts was repurposed for Brazilian rock, using the same microphone for a very different crowd. That shift changed what people expected from the dial. Fluminense FM became linked with rock in the 1980s, not with the track. A racetrack and a rock station can share one set of wires. In Fluminense FM, the microphone carried both horse races and a new Brazilian rock era. A small Umayyad slipper lamp could carry Greek on one side and Arabic on the other. One lamp, 2 faith languages. These were clay lamps from the Umayyad era, shaped for oil and handheld use. Their surfaces could take short inscriptions near the body and rim. On one lamp, Greek words could read "the light of Christ." Another inscription in Arabic could name God, or Allah. The same fired clay carried both scripts. That pairing means the lamp was not sealed inside one language world. It moved through overlapping communities where scripts and religious phrases could share the same object. A hand-sized lamp could hold that overlap in one curve of clay. The inscription stayed with the lamp, even as it passed from hand to hand. A gravestone can do more than mark a grave. Alan Ludwig treated it like evidence, not decoration. Before that shift, cemetery markers were often just seen as memorials. Gravestone studies changed the question from who was buried here to what the stone can tell. Ludwig is credited as a founding father because he helped make systematic study possible. He pushed readers to treat names, dates, symbols, and stonework as historical clues. That turned cemeteries into research sites. A marker could now help answer questions about craft, memory, and local history. So one carved stone became part of a larger study. In that shift, Alan Ludwig gave gravestone studies a starting point in the cemetery. In Abbeville, 2 prime ministers met while Poland was already under attack, yet their council did not order a major strike against Germany. The date was September 12, 1939. It was the first meeting of the Franco-British Supreme War Council, with France and Britain facing the German invasion of Poland. Edouard Daladier and Neville Chamberlain were there. The discussion focused on how much help Poland should receive, and whether to launch large-scale operations against Germany. The council chose restraint. No large-scale operations were launched, and the war stayed on paper in that room while the fighting continued in Poland. That decision left a conference room in Abbeville tied to a wider war. The map, the chairs, and the untouched papers became part of the story. Sarah, Lady Holte could own hundreds of enslaved people in Barbados and still live in England. That distance is the strange fact. She was Sarah, an English heiress raised in Staffordshire. In 1755, she married Sir Lister Holt and moved into Aston Hall in Warwickshire. Her family wealth came from Barbados' sugarland and the people forced to work it. The plantation sat far away, so ownership could run through papers, agents, and rent. That system let an English household benefit from labor it rarely saw. The hall at Aston and the plantation in Barbados belonged to one family network. So the meeting could be rare because the ownership was already built into distance. A country house in Warwickshire and a plantation in Barbados sat in the same inheritance line. If one overlooked detail can change how you see the past, there is more to uncover in every episode here. Subscribe for more factual history, and tell us which story surprised you most.